do a rat trap update. No catches last night, but well, we'll keep trying. The next morning, I noticed one of my good-natured traps had gone off, but there was no rat to be found. Until I spotted this guy. Clearly been injured, but the job wasn't done yet. Until now. Run through that water before you get in the truck? Yeah, that's what I thought. I accepted a long time ago that the back seat of this truck was going to get thrashed with 2 kids under 5 years old and 2 dogs, but it just kind of pains me. Let's go. Whoa. Hit that with some speed. I got these jokers with me now. We're on our way to the steel yard. I gotta get a few pieces of metal, and when we get back, I'll show you guys what they're for. Anything to add?
Mommy, where are you filming?
They're closed noon to 1 for lunch. Okay, the chain's down. I think I can go get my stuff.
Me and Maddie are ranchers kids. We love to stay silly, and my tractor is like a feed wagon, but our daddy has a John Deere tractor, and I have John Deere shit. Mommy. Wow, it's so amazing in here. Got some cool lights going, some cool workers. I don't have a safety app for my shop.
Well, you can see I've got several different things on the trailer here, and the aluminum, I think most of you probably know what that's for, but I'm gonna cut strips out of that and use it to block this lower gap here in the stock trailer. Initially I thought, oh, I'll just buy some flat bar, some aluminum flat bar, and fill this in, it'll be super easy, but this just so happens to be a 5.5 inch gap, and I actually didn't check, but I assume that they didn't have flat bar in 5.5 inches. They would either have it in 5 or 6. So by buying it in a sheet, I can cut it to the exact width that I need, and then I'll end up having some aluminum left over for who knows what. The rest of this square tubing, rectangular tubing, and angle iron are for projects that I'm doing at the ranch, so let's go check those out now. Using corrugated metal on these feeders down here was just a temporary solution to keep the hay in the feeder, and you can see that it's better than nothing, but it's really not that great. So what the square tubing is for is I want to make some square frame gates with probably like a livestock panel welded to that can open and close. So obviously you can open the gate, put the bale in, and then close the gate to help keep the hay in there. I'm hoping that this makes a little bit less work for me because I'm not having to come down here and pitchfork this hay back into the feeder, but it'll, if nothing else, look a lot nicer, and I think it will be more effective than the corrugated metal. The angle iron I'm planning to use here to make a little roof structure over the salt block holder to keep the water off of the salt blocks. And with the rectangular tubing, my plan is to make some sort of bows or braces, whatever you want to call them, on the hay wagon here. Last year I noticed when I was running this thing down a really bumpy road that the frame just had a lot of twist in it, and I think if I put some struts or supports over the top here that it'll kind of reduce that. Well, it's the next day now, and the plan was to start on all these projects that I just got done telling you about, but instead we're going to go over to the winter pasture because some of the cows got out over there, and I think instead of play the whole I'll fix the hole in the fence, you make a new hole game with the cows, we're just gonna put a hot wire up and be done with it. That should be everything we need, so let's go. Well, going through the herd, everybody is here on the correct side of the fence now, but I know 57 here was one that got out, and 58 was the other one. I think she's over there laying down. So evidently they found a hole where they can come and go as they please, and I have a fairly good idea where that might be. So we're gonna put the hot wire up, and then we won't have to worry about this anymore. Oh, I'm tall enough to pound this post in. T-post is going to be my anchor for the hot wire, and with all the force that the wire is going to be pulling on it, I don't know if it's strong enough like this. So what I'm going to do is take a wire and tie it to this existing railroad tie. The reason that I don't just tie it to the railroad tie in the first place is that then the wire runs so close to all the barbed wire that you've got a much higher chance of it grounding out. So with the T-post being out from the existing fence, you know, 5 or 6 inches, that should help a little bit with the reliability of this wire. I may live to regret those words, but we'll see. Okay, that should be strong enough. So we got the anchor done. I'll just go through here, and every place the wire turns, I'll put a somewhat more sturdy post. Then we can string the wire up and get all the fiberglass posts up. So got the wire strung up, tightened the first time. We're gonna probably have to tighten it several more times, but I just want to get some tension on it, and then I'll walk back up to the other end of it and just make sure it's not tangled up in any branches or the fence, and make sure that it's sitting right on the corner posts, because the way that I'm doing this, when I've got to go around a tree, I've just got a T-post with a PVC pipe around it, and that lets the wire pull tight, but it's not going to ground out on that post. So I can kind of set the height pretty easily on that, and yeah, we're just going to walk through, make sure everything's good, and then I'll come back putting the fiberglass posts in, and then we can tighten it one more time, and it should be ready to go. Caught on something here. I think this spot here is probably where the cows broke out. There's a broken wire and some fairly fresh tracks right on the other side of the fence here. So this was probably the problem. But if I was to just fix this hole, now they've developed a habit of going through here, so they would probably just make a new hole, you know, on either side of this one. I've seen this happen before, dealt with it before, and you just drive yourself crazy trying to stay ahead of them, and it just becomes like a game of checkers. But the way to stop that is putting up a hot wire. They'll touch this once, and that ought to be the end of it. You guys being patient? Are you being patient? Okay, one down. Well, the wire is all up and installed, and I think the hard part about this is figuring out where to put the solar box, because there's so many trees over here. There's not really a lot of good, consistent, direct sunlight. So for now, I mean, the trees don't have leaves on them, so hopefully some will be able to get through. But I'm gonna put the box down here, and the only reason being is that there is a human gate here that the landowner uses to access the property. So with the solar box here right next to the gate, it'll be convenient to just turn this wire off in case they want to get out here. Part of the reason that I did decide on this solar box out of the multiple that I have to select from is that the S30 has a lithium battery, and it'll do the best in these sort of non-consistent sunlight conditions that we're gonna have here. So let's fire it up and see what we've got on this wire. Hopefully it's over 5,000, and we can move on to something else. Oh, 10. I thought that said 1. 10,000 volts. Wow, yeah, that'll be enough. The wire's bouncing between 10 and 11 kilovolts, and I didn't even know the tester would go that high. So this is an extremely hot wire. I have no doubt this will do the trick. So now that we're done with this, there is still enough time to at least go back home and get started on a couple of these little projects that I wanted to get done. So let's go do that. Back at the house now, and I want to start working on this trailer. For those of you that don't know, I've got a few little maintenance items, sort of upgrades, just little things that I want to do to this trailer. There's no major problems with it, but the things that I would like to address is first getting this lower gap blocked off. That's something that's bothered me for a while. And then I want to get the bumper fixed down here on the bottom of the trailer. The rubber has torn off of the bolt, so we need to do a few things there. Beyond that, there's just a couple little lights that need to be repaired, a few welds that need to be repaired, and just, you know, some basic things like that. Another thing is the latch handle here is made out of aluminum. It's got this huge gouge in it, and I can't help but think that aluminum was not the best choice of material for this. I think this would be much better steel. The whole rotating pin assembly is steel, the latch is steel. I don't know why they made the handle aluminum. Aluminum is much softer than steel, and it's really not a surprise that it's all gouged out like that. So we might have to do something about that as well. I am starting to run out of time today, but one thing that I would like to get done is just to get the bumper off of the trailer. I think that there is one long piece of aluminum in there that broke off that was used to like sandwich the bumper up to the trailer. So I might either cut that piece in half and then put a new piece on the other side, or I might just cut an entirely new piece, because I think I will have enough left over off of that sheet that I bought. But the first thing that I need to do is just get the bumper off of there and see what I'm working with. First, guess my wrench slipped off. Goodness, that didn't feel good at all. Got it. Now maybe it'll come off. Makes such a big difference when you actually take all the bolts off. There it goes. We can certainly see down here on the bottom of the trailer where the bumper was, how all that manure and stuff being stuck in there has not been good for this aluminum. So I think before I put all this back together, I'll have to come through here with the wire wheel and clean this up as best I can. And then the aluminum piece inside the bumper is only 1/8 of an inch thick, and I can't help but wonder if maybe like 1/4 inch or something more along those lines might be better in this application. Anyway, plenty to think about here. Usually I like to complete an entire job within a day or within a video, but sometimes it just does not work out that way, and the best you can do is just chip away a little bit at the things that you need to get done, and pretty soon they will be. So I think we're gonna call it here for this one. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.